We have right now Congressman Adam Schiff, and we want to talk to him about what happened today, how history has been made today, and the shock waves that have been created as a result of that, and what is going to happen likely going forward. Congressman Schiff, thank you for joining us this morning. Your reaction?
I think it is just a combination of shock and disbelief and horror at the fact that essentially within 24 hours, millions of women around the country have just lost the right to make their own reproductive health decisions. There are these laws, these trigger laws in many states that say that when this court decision comes down, basically abortion is a crime. Any number of women seeking to make that difficult choice in a huge number of states in America now will be criminals if they do. And it's a betrayal of what these justices committed and promised when they were before the Senate in confirmation hearings. But this is the socially extreme agenda that the GOP has been pushing. This is what they've been working towards, and now they have it. And as a result, I think millions of women's reproductive decisions have been jeopardized, their health, and in some cases, their lives.
You put out a statement right when this happened, and I'm going to read part of it because you say the Supreme Court's decision to strike down Roe v. Wade is a dangerous and divisive rollback of a half a century's progress and legal protection. You go on to say this: make no mistake, this court is not conservative. It is partisan, with a partisan and socially backward agenda. If you could elaborate.
Well, a conservative court would uphold a conservative principle of observing precedent. That is, they wouldn't willy-nilly, based on their personal social views, overturn decades of settled law. Each of these justices, when they testified before the Senate, said that Roe v. Wade was settled law, that they would respect precedent. That's what a conservative justice would do. For them to do otherwise and say we're rejecting all of that, it shows the true colors. They're merely partisans, social partisans. That's why they were selected, many of them vetted by the Federalist Society, for exactly this reason. And make no mistake, if you accept their backward social agenda, if you accept their view that there is no right of privacy in the Constitution, then your right to use contraceptives, the right to marry the person that you love, all of those things are in jeopardy. And I think we see that in the logic of this opinion. And some of the justices, like Thomas, are quite explicit. This is just the beginning, basically, of rolling back Americans' rights and, sending us back to another dark age.
Congressman, you also tweeted moments ago that Congress must fight this in every way you can. And, to be fair, many members of Congress have been fighting this fight. You being one of them, have been trying to, somewhat, I guess you could say, protect against a decision like this for years. But as of very recently, you haven't had the votes. And so I think a fair question is, realistically, right now, when it comes to this fight, what do you have?
Well, you're right. In the House of Representatives, where Democrats control the majority, we passed a bill to enshrine Roe v. Wade into law. The challenge has been the Senate. Now, this morning after this decision, Senator Joe Manchin said that he would support codifying Roe. The question is, will the rights of women to make their own healthcare decisions outweigh adherence to an old rule called the Filibuster, which requires a supermajority to get certain things through the Senate? Well, what's more important, this old rule that is not a constitutionally based rule, that is, it's not required in any way, it's just a tradition? Is that tradition more worthwhile, more important than the health care of millions of women? I certainly don't think so, and I would hope and pray that the senators don't think so. There is a pro-choice majority in the Senate. The question is there a majority willing to do away with the filibuster to actually make that meaningful? And we have to press, and we have to fight, and we have to do everything possible to persuade those senators this has to get done. It's more urgent than ever.
Congressman Schiff, I want to investigate a little bit more the statement you made about the Supreme Court, which many people believe has effectively done away with the right to privacy. And that opens up the door for perhaps doing away with other rights, recently acquired rights. Some who, in fact, are pro-life say that people who are pro-abortion rights are overreacting by saying it's going to result in a lot of other rights being abridged. But in his concurring opinion, and Araxia showed me this, Justice Clarence Thomas said that he thinks the Supreme Court should actually revisit other rights, including the right to use contraceptive, including the right to have marriage equality. So you do believe, in fact, that other rights could, in fact, be abridged as a result of the Supreme Court decision today?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And, Justice Thomas, as you say, makes that very clear. And this is part of the same backward social agenda, extremist social agenda that brought us this decision to begin with. This is why these justices were picked. And, for those millions of Americans who never thought we would see this day, well, they've shown they're willing to do this. They're willing to throw out all of this precedent. They're willing to roll back rights for the first time in our history. Why should we believe that this is the only right they're going to roll back? That would be, I think, dangerously naive. And so I think we need to make sure that we protect these rights, we enshrine them in law beyond the reach of this partisan court. And I also think, because this court stands ready to do away with other Americans' rights, and two of those justices were illegitimately placed on the court, one by preventing President Obama from making appointments, and the second from forcing a justice on the court while people were voting for Joe Biden, in contradiction of what McConnell had said the first time, that we ought to expand the court and unstack the court so that the court is more reflective of the views of the American people.
Congressman Schiff, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you racing to your office to connect with us. And we know you're going to have a very, very busy day. So thank you for taking time to be with us. We'll let you